Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxon here with you, and I am joined, of course, by my brother Aaron.
Hello.
Hello, and the one and only Mr. Archie Mitchell is with us this week.
Hold on, let me put out my sparkler. I might cause an explosion.
There was an exploding bunk bed match at Archie's house, and
yes. It was a bigger explosion than there was last night on AEW. But
David Gold is still selling the sparklers. That's
Yes.
what's going on right now.
Yes.
Well, this week, ladies and gentlemen, on the show, we are going to go back in time and talk about the PW Torch year-end awards from 1992, one of my favorite years in the history of pro wrestling. Even though the business was kind of failing that year, the wrestling business in general on its downturn into the very low attendance of like 93 through 95. I really thought, and we'll get deeper into it, but I really thought 92 was a quality year for in-ring action, pay-per-views, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be interesting to talk about the year that was of 1992 here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
Yep. We're gonna go over theirs and then say what ours were, correct?
Or vice versa. One of the two.
Just interesting. I think we should do ours first and then see how we compared with.
I was very biased in
Keller.
mine. It was a lot of the same, so I'm going to be honest. But
Because I didn't look and see what Keller put up. So
no, I didn't either.
I just wanted to be surprised or whatever.
Well, it was actually those awards are voted on by readers. I don't know how many readers he had at the time, maybe 6. I don't know, or more than that. You never know.
Well, I know that. I'm not saying Keller himself. I'm just saying.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
His awards were better than what Dave Meltzer puts out for the Wrestling Observer nowadays.
Hey, no kidding.
Everything was AEW this year. Everything
AEW promotion of the decade.
We get it. We know who's paying your bills, Dave. We understand.
Also, this week we're going to have a match review of what I thought was a really good match. Of course, I am a Memphis wrestling fan. It's Jerry the King Lawler versus Austin Idol. We'll get to that in just a moment as well. But first, I want to start off by letting you know if you're listening to the show and you are not a member of our Facebook group, please do join the We Can't Wrestle podcast Facebook group.
Yes.
And some big things coming this year for the We Can't Wrestle podcast family. And we will elaborate more on that once I get my shit together with those big things. I'm not going to make any announcements just yet because I'm still figuring things out. But I promise you folks, there is something big coming for the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
We'll have news about that by at least SummerSlam.
Yes. By at least SummerSlam.
We've been purchased by Peacock.
I quit.
Actually, at this point, we'd be lucky to get purchased by Pluto TV, but we're working our way there, folks.
Wait, I want Tubi. I want down there.
Tubi. I actually really dig Pluto because
Pluto's awesome.
The Mystery Science Theater channel, I watch the hell out of that, and I love the little game show network they have on there. I like, you put some game shows on in the background when I'm working or whatever.
There's nothing wrong with Pluto.
I like Pluto. They even have like a Storage Wars channel. I love I love the channels they have, like not that I watch it, but it's like, wow, there's an entire Jersey Shore channel.
Yeah, they have one when I first got it, and I got really excited, and it said Lucha Libre AAA Mexico. I'm like, damn, I finally get to watch Lucha Libre again because I haven't had the channel in forever. And then I went to it. It's like matches from like 18 years ago, and I'm like, damn, I don't want to watch old Lucha Libre. I want to know what's going on currently.
Or the Impact channel that they have on there. That it's like there's a 2-year span that they play shit from, and that's it.
Yep.
We're getting shit on the cheap, guys. I mean, it's not like you're paying for it.
Right.
True.
It's free.
And Pluto used to suck as a service too. It used to freeze all the time and everything, and it's so much better now.
It's grown with age, unlike Peacock.
Well, they're not paying us, so.
Yeah, I know.
One day.
maybe one day. Well, that being said, let's get the show started. And this week we have as everybody knows, a couple of months ago, I had posted the wrestling mixtape post in the We Can't Wrestle Facebook group. And we've been taking matches suggested by listeners that suggested these matches, and this week our match suggestion came from friend of the show, author, and also podcast host of his own Deathcast, Mr. Ian Totten suggested this match, and the match is from April 27th, 1987. It is Jerry the King Lawler and Austin Idol, hair versus hair. Overall, guys. Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of Mr. Totten, he did private message me because he's in Facebook jail and said that he couldn't comment with his critique of the match, but he did send it to me. So when we're done or in between, whatever, I can read what he wrote. Oh, there's Big Kyle.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Kyle's
Ladies
here. We're
and gentlemen, the forgotten son of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, Mr. Kyle Army.
Not Riker Stephen Kai, whatever that fucking guy's name is. Kyle, welcome back to your show.
Are you prepared? Do you know what we're doing?
No. What are we doing?
Well, wait. I have a bone to pick before we start anything. He left and he came back with sleeves. That ain't gonna fly here, buddy. There we go. That's better. There we go.
Good thing this is an audio show.
Yep.
Kyle is stripping. Well, what we're doing right now, Kyle, to start off, is we're reviewing Austin Idol and Jerry Lawler in the hair versus hair match from 1987. And then when we come back from the break after that, we're going to discuss 1992 year-end Pro Wrestling Torch Awards. So you wouldn't have really had to prepare for that. You can just follow along and give your thoughts. But Kyle hasn't been on in a while. We're glad to have him.
I sent a message to you guys. I took a fucking sabbatical from pro wrestling for about a month because I was like, I just need to get away from it. Maybe I'll come back in with open eyes and a newfound love for it. And wouldn't you know, the fucking first show back was fucking AEW.
Bad choice, man. I could have told you that before you even tuned in.
The fuck
We're
did
not
I
gonna talk about it?
no, what the fuck did I watch?
Well, guess what?
It was like a kid's birthday party on 4th of July.
Who's for?
Those are fun.
Not wrestling.
Those were fun.
But if it's sports entertainment, who's it for? Like,
For the elite, for Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes and Young Bucks.
Thanks to Ian Totten's suggestion, Aaron and I got to watch a actual wrestling match this week. Again, Jerry Lawler and Austin Idol, hair versus hair, the Mid-South Coliseum, Memphis, Tennessee. That's Lawler land, baby. And these guys have a hair versus hair match. And overall, what a great match.
It was.
What a great match.
It's on, and you guys Nate, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but this is like the earliest thing that I've seen where the cage was all the way around the perimeter of the ring, if that makes sense.
I noticed that too. Was that like one of the first times they did that?
Probably.
So that made
Probably.
Not counting that when the WCW did that or NWA did that Tower of Doom thing. But that might have been after 87.
Yeah.
Sure,
that
but
was 80.
That was 91.
No, there was a different one they did with.
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Nate knows what I'm talking about, but this is the earliest I can remember.
Me too.
And there's obvious reasons they did it when you get into the match that you're on, why they did it. But it's the first time I remember seeing it, or first time looking back that I see that happen.
You know what's funny about this? This is a stipulation, and how funny it is, and it's not lost on me the fact that we're talking about a stipulation match that they can actually follow through with.
Mm-hmm.
And back in this day, they put their hair on the line, and that was enough to sell a ticket.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You had a fucking exploding ring match, and they couldn't follow through. Who the fuck was going to believe that was going to follow through?
At one point in Memphis, Bill Dundee's wife put her hair on the line. That's how hardcore that shit got.
And they bought a house with it.
Yeah.
The payoff.
Well, the the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway from the beginning, I was like, yeah, I'm listening to Lance Russell. God damn it, listen to Lance Russell. Lawler call a match in the Mid-South Coliseum. How awesome is that?
But he's with Randy Hales.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's with Randy Hales.
Who does
But that
Randy
is
Hales
what it
know,
is.
and why does and how does he probably knows where the body? He has to know where the bodies are buried. That's the only reason Randy Hales stayed
I
employed
love
from forever.
I love the beginning was hearing Lance yell, and Idol's trying to tell us that he thought his manager Paul Dangerly was going to be in the ring with him, and I'm sitting there going, "Really? He actually thought that was going to fly? Like, who thinks? Yeah, my manager's just going to chill in the ring. Don't worry about it. It's okay."
And we also mentioned when we were in our group chat earlier that none of us had really recalled that they actually in Memphis at this time they called him Paul E. Dangerly, not dangerously.
Yep.
Paul E. Dangerly. And I even went back to jog my memory to make sure. And in the Memphis Archives YouTube page, that is what his name is. So Lance Russell was not misspeaking here. It was Paul E. Dangerly.
I asked you about it today. I was like, he did it the whole match? So was it on purpose or was it
because
in
that territory nobody can fucking pronounce dangerously? So
no, I think Paulie watched the movie with Michael Keaton and was like, I like that last name. I think I'm gonna.
Oh, that's how he got the gimmick.
Yeah,
because they said he looked like Michael Keaton. But
on what planet?
Johnny Dangerously is one of the funniest movies ever made.
My mother hung me once.
My mother hung me on a hook once, Johnny.
You fargan sneaky bastard.
You fargan sneaky bastards. I'm going to rip off your biles and shove them up your ice hole. Roman Maroney continues to murder the English language. Or when he's rolling down the hill. Oh, my God. Anyway, sorry, off the rails again. Back to the match.
Instantly.
Something else I was going to ask, and I don't know Nate, Arch, Kyle, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but Austin Idol, became a homesteader after his plane crash because he didn't want to fly and do all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally understandable. If I lived through a plane crash, I'd never want to get on a motherfucking plane ever again in the rest of my life. But if that wouldn't have happened, I think Austin Idol would have been a much bigger star than what he is.
I agree with that statement. I agree with that statement. Although I think Austin Idol, and you may think it's weird that I say this because of the gimmick and everything, but I think Austin Idol would have been super successful in WCW, not so much the WWF.
I agree.
I know. I'm just saying, but in the WCW was a national company, so he would have been a bigger star than what he was just chilling in Memphis. You know what I'm saying? He would have been a big deal.
I think I agree with Nate because, I mean, yeah, Austin Idol was great athlete, great talent, muscular, but it looked like he was a hybrid of Jesse Ventura, Superstar Billy Graham, and Hulk Hogan. So one of those guys would have bitched to Vince and been like, he's got to change his gimmick. And we would have ended up with like a black-haired, slimmed down Austin Idol that wouldn't have played well.
Here's the biggest problem that I have with Austin Idol. I like him. He's fantastic. Problem is that he gets lost in everything else going on at the time because you have all those guys. They look the same.
Well, I mean, I agree with Kyle on that. With all the bigger names that were out at that time, even if they didn't have the same look, no one really goes back and goes, Austin Idol was great. You know, if you're having a conversation of great workers or great characters, he's like the last person you're going to remember as you call down a list of names.
Mostly because he didn't get the national exposure.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Right. If he would have got out there, I think he would have been a bigger deal.
But I will say this: you look at like Jerry Lawler, the same type of thing, and yeah, he ended up coming to WWF, but I think it's because he didn't look like everybody else.
Right.
Is the reason why he got the chance to be.
He was unique.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that especially at this time, everybody was like, "This is how you have to be if you're a pro wrestler." They're following the Ric Flair or the Hulk Hogan or the Lex Luger, fucking carbon copy. This is what a pro wrestler is.
That's why Jerry Lawler, not just the only reason, but his personality mixed with the fact that the average guy would sit out in the audience and see this average looking guy that was kicking ass and taking names just like they wanted to,
Well, that's even in my notes. It says it's amazing how this pudgy, hairy man captured an entire city and owned it, and still pretty much does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
and also the other thing about Lawler is
he also
and
has.
I understand what you're saying about Austin Idol and all that, but the other great thing about Lawler is, since he wasn't like this big, jacked up, muscular looking guy, he was like I mean, he's not an average dude. He's a bigger guy, but not being muscular, not having that physique, and all of that. Since he didn't have that, he never aged.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even when he was 50 years old, he still looked like he looked when he was like 35 years old. So it didn't look like some old man was in the ring trying to do this
until he had that heart attack on Raw. He was still able to go in the ring and still able to pull off what he was pulling off when he was in his 30s.
Well, and then too, also you gotta think he's also has the attribute that like Honky Tonk Man has, or guys like that, where it's somebody in the crowd looks at him and says, I can take him.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that fucking right there is.
So my next note on the match, Lawler's punches are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what? I bet Lawler, and this is of wrestling that I've seen. Obviously, I've seen a little bit of Johnny Valentine. I'd say Lawler, Johnny Valentine, Terry Funk.
Nate, I know you hate him.
There was somebody else.
Nate,
you're gonna say Ronnie. You're gonna say Ronnie Garvin.
I'm gonna say Ronnie Garvin, and he needs to be on the list.
But there was somebody else that I was thinking of too, and I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But Lawler's up there with the best looking punches in wrestling history.
I agree.
When he lands a punch, it looks like he's landing a punch. And you know what? I bet it felt like a pillow because he's a pro.
And I also put, and you guys are maybe going to look at me weird, but Lawler's fantastic. And I would, even though he came before this guy, if I was going to compare like Jerry Lawler to somebody, like face Jerry Lawler to somebody in the ring, I'd compare him to?
Who?
Hulk Hogan.
For Memphis, yeah.
Because
he was the Hogan of Memphis.
Well, it's not even the fact that he was like this big baby. I'm talking like in the ring, because face Lawler will sell and sell and sell. And like he might start the match hot and in charge, but something's going to happen and the heel's going to fuck him, and then he sells for like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And then he finally makes that comeback, and then it's like the strap down. The strap down is like Hogan going,
right.
and I
really think that Lawler, I think Hogan kind of learned that from Lawler when Hogan was in Memphis, in my opinion. I think he saw what Jerry Lawler did and was like, you know what? After he became a face, he was like, I'm going to Lawler this shit. You know what I mean? I'll sell.
You may be right.
Make the big comeback.
Well, and here's the thing that I've kind of noticed about modern wrestling and this era of wrestling, guys like Hulk Hogan, like Jerry Lawler, like Dusty Rhodes, they aren't playing to a fucking camera. They're playing to that glass guy in the nosebleed section.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Every punch, it's gonna. It doesn't matter if you're in the nosebleed sections. You're gonna see it. You're gonna feel it. Just like taking off the shoulder straps or everything else. That's I think the biggest problem for wrestling today is people they're playing to the TV, not to the actual.
They're trying to pop the fans nowadays for the wrong reasons, like a kick out. How many kickouts were there last night? In our time of wrestling, in the match we watched, Austin Idol versus Jerry Lawler, there was maybe 5 near falls in the whole match, and the match went 25 minutes.
But the problem is, Archie, that now the only moves that are over is their signature moves.
Right. And everybody's kicking out of him, so it's really not over.
Well, last night, how many? The super kick isn't fucking special anymore.
Nope.
A headlock
Nope.
isn't special anymore. A DDT isn't special anymore.
Nope.
And kind of relaying to that, what I have on my notes here, you guys just brought up, modern stuff. Austin Idol gets rammed into the cage here, and he blades early in this match, okay? And he's bleeding. And that is, there should never be a cage match without blood. And if your policy is we don't bleed, then don't have cage matches.
Don't have any kind of gimmick matches that involve a weapon.
It is, yes. This looked realistic because if I ram your head into a steel pipe or a fence, you're gonna bleed.
Yep.
And that's the point. This looks like a fight, not ballet. It looks like these two guys are fighting.
He didn't just nick himself to get a little bit of blood, Nate. It was on his arm. It was on Lawler. It was on the ref. Look, I don't believe people should have to bleed like a stuffed pig. But if you're gonna blade and you're gonna bleed, do it the right way that it's believable. Not like you just nick yourself and put spit on it and rub it.
Even hold on. Even Hulk Hogan bled in every cage match he was in.
Right, and I agree with what you're saying. But like one of my favorite matches of all time is Bret Hart and Owen Hart from SummerSlam '94, and they're in a cage.
But they don't
need blood.
They told Bret and Owen, you guys aren't allowed to bleed. So Bret and Owen didn't use the cage as a weapon.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't. If you're not gonna bleed in a cage, then don't be bashing each other off of it every 5 seconds or whatever.
Right.
And that's not what Owen and Bret used it for. Owen and Bret used it as, okay, we're gonna sell this match as it's keeping the family out.
Right. It's keeping the family out so we could stay in. Right.
Yeah.
I think the WWE doesn't want them to use blood because it's barbaric. My God, we can't have people cut heads. But yet they're fine with fucking Brock Lesnar going out there and hard weighing somebody.
Right.
Well, that's fucking stupid. Like, I would much rather. There's a reason why that people fucking blade in pro wrestling, because I guarantee you it's a hell of a lot easier and a lot fucking less painful than having to get fucking punched.
Taking an elbow the hard way to the head.
Dustin Rhodes, perfect example. I don't know if you guys have watched his Inside the Ropes interview, but he talks about being in the Hollywood Backlot Brawl with Roddy Piper, and they tell him you can't get blood. So he tells fucking Piper, "Fucking hit me right here on the fucking eyebrow and bust me open."
Right.
What happens? Piper breaks his fucking hand trying to fucking do it.
But he wanted to get the blood. And
let's not. You can't blade though, because
Lawler controls the first part of this match, and then yes, and again it looks like a fight, and then Austin Idol corrects him with a foreign object to turn the tide in the match, and then we go back and forth in the middle of the match. The match progresses. You progressively get.
They danced.
The action
danced
builds
through the whole match. It was a nice, solid dance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Two pros having a hell of a good wrestling match.
Nate, this is what I'm missing from wrestling nowadays, and I'll say this match. Someone once said that wrestling and boxing is like a game of chess. We each take a turn making a move. And if my move doesn't look legit enough, then it throws it all off. Mm-hmm. That's what this match was. It was a chess match between two men who couldn't stand each other and were having a legit fight, according to the Memphis audience. That's what made this match so good. You had two guys who were, okay, you're going to beat the crap out of me for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to beat the crap out of you for 5 minutes, but then you're going to do something underhanded and beat the crap out of me for the duration. And
everything we do is going to look like a fight, and it's going to be logical.
Right.
And then you add the credibility of the announcer, and I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yep.
The announcer is okay. The referee is the third man in the ring. The announcer is the fourth man that makes the match on TV. Because
without a doubt,
there's a ref bump here inside a steel cage match, and the minute that happens, instead of just screaming like they would now, the referee is down, and me going, why does that matter? Lance Russell takes the time to explain why that is significant. Because if the referee, yes, this is no disqualification, but if the referee is down, Austin Idol can't pin Lawler. So he can't win the match, or vice versa. Yes,
well,
he takes the time. You know what I'm saying? He takes the time to
Right.
be an analyst and let you know why that is significant.
And here's the biggest thing about it too is the fact that, in my opinion, and I think anybody that like knows pro wrestling and watched this for as long as we have, the face is always going to have the upper hand on the heel.
Mm-hmm.
Always walks in there, and the heel knows that face is going to beat the shit out of them. And it's only when the heel does something heelish that he gets the upper hand, because he wouldn't have to do that if he could beat the face.
Right.
Exactly.
But everybody's too concerned with being a cool heel now. And it's like, no, I want that shit heel. Like,
Mm-hmm. Aaron, any new notes? But where we're at in the match here, we're to the ref bump.
No, you guys
All
are doing
right.
good.
and that's
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've done this a few times.
like I said. I think this is
But one compliment of the show. After this, I'm just gonna be shitting on everybody.
I understand that it's no disqualification, but like maybe the point of a ref bump is it should be sold as like, oh fuck, now the ref's down. Now that heel can do anything he wants,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and there's no.
And it also makes both the guys in the ring in parallel, because now when Austin Idol's going for the pin, he can't win. Same with Jerry Lawler. So now they're on equal footing. Well, I can't win and you can't win, so we just got to beat the shit out of each other for a little longer.
Well, it's the perfect example of the greatest heel and the greatest bad guy of all, or the greatest good guy,
Right.
Batman Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Batman's not going to kill the Joker because of his morals. The same with the good face. Like, they're not going to cheat. Not going to,
Yeah. Absolutely. They need each other. It's the yin and the yang. Lawler hits a Lawler. I'll say it like Lance Russell does. Lawler hits a fucking hell of a pile driver on Austin Idol here. And then Tommy Rich comes in to interfere.
As from out of nowhere, because Lance Russell cannot figure out where
and
he came
that's
from.
another thing that I was going to give a huge credit to Lance Russell. From the minute Tommy Rich hits the ring to the minute we fade to black, as an investigative reporter, he's like, where did Rich come from? Where did Rich come from?
I can't wait to see the replay because I want to see where Tommy Rich.
Yeah, where the fuck did Rich come from? Uncle Lance is about to start swearing here, like, God damn it, Hales!
Before we get to that, but I want to.
Oh gosh, I don't know, Lance.
I want to reiterate the fucking pile driver. Good God, I don't know if it's. Well, I know what it is. It's because people sold it like it was fucking devastating.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And in reality, if you're talking about the way that a move looks or the way that a move, Dr. Sam Shepard, he invented the mandible claw because he knew how the human body worked and he knew where that vein was, and et cetera, et cetera. A good wrestling move, when used well in a wrestling match, that's the point, is it makes sense. Like, you would never nowadays, and I don't want to get off on the current product thing, but nowadays, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pile drivers a match,
If they let them, because it's not really legal.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. I guess I should say moves with the impact of a pile driver.
Right.
It's like Jimmy Cornette said. Jimmy Cornette said on multiple occasions that if the person doing the fucking pile driver knows what they're doing, it's one of the safest moves in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Like he said hundreds of times he'd rather take a fucking pile driver from like Jerry Lawler than a torture rack from Lex Luger, because Lex Luger don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Right.
That's you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he didn't say Lex Luger, but I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
No, of course.
And the reason the pile driver's not fucking allowed anymore is because guys are going out there going 100 fucking miles an hour and not being safe.
Mm-hmm.
When here's the thing: Lawler, Taker, guys who use that move, Kevin Sullivan, it looks believable when they do it, because it makes me question, hey, did that guy really just hit his head? You know what I mean? Like when Austin got paralyzed by Owen from the tombstone he delivered, I didn't know Austin hit his head because I thought it was protected, because I've always known throughout all the years of wrestling, protect the head. When they said he got paralyzed, I said, oh, wow, this was the one time that it really didn't, it was real. That was the great thing about Lawler. He delivered it and made it look real, although he had never hurt anybody doing that move.
And his pile driver almost looks like the most dangerous one ever because of the way he falls into it.
Yep.
It looks like he's just taking this guy and carelessly dropping his fucking head on the mat.
Right, and the legs are straight. Always.
Yes,
he always had his opponents. So it looked like all the weight was coming down on the guy's spine into the neck.
Mm-hmm.
And how appropriate is it? The move that always looked the most devastating are the one that it's selling to the guy in the fucking nosebleed.
Yep.
Another perfect example is when Brett would do the fucking figure four around the ring post.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It had the look. It had the look.
After Tommy Rich with the interference, they kind of messed up the spike pile driver here. I did note that.
A little.
But
it looked like Lawler kind of keeled over instead of being put down. But, I mean, there was a lot going on, so you really can't blame them for making one botch.
Austin Idol gets the 1-2-3 on Lawler. And then here is something important. Again, as Lance Russell is harping on, I still don't know how Rich got in there.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
About that spike pile driver, I almost prefer that sometimes.
Well,
because
you want it to look like the guy's fighting out of it a little bit more than usual.
If every single time a move looks, perfectly fucking done, it doesn't look like a real fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you would have saw this, Kyle, this is pretty bad.
In a while,
it was pretty bad.
But still, though, it's like that's the thing. Like, the problem is a lot of wrestling today looks choreographed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, a lot.
Most. And like I said, granted, like I said, I've seen this match and it's been a while, but maybe I'm forgetting how bad it really was. But like, to me, if I see that, it's like, oh fuck, like it wasn't. This isn't two people fucking working together to fucking put this move on. This is,
these two guys, and this one guy. Excuse me. These two guys have the advantage on this one guy, and he doesn't want to be in this position. He's not helping them set it up, But here's what I was going to say: the so important here, especially in an area like Memphis with a wrestler like Jerry Lawler. And Archie, you tell me what you think, if you think I'm spot on here. Here's why the end of this was perfect. And Aaron, you too. It was perfect because Rich and Idol did not immediately go into shaving Lawler's head.
Oh, no.
They walked around the ring. They jaw-jacked the fans. They
beat up the referee.
They built the anticipation of the crowd. The crowd's almost thinking, oh, maybe it won't happen to Lawler, And then,
even when they got him on the chair, they still were like, let's kick the shit out of him again.
Yeah, let's beat him up again.
He ain't been beat up properly yet.
And then his credit is sitting there taking his ass whipping.
And then, and most importantly, they delivered on the stipulation. And they cut Jerry Lawler's hair. And that's probably another reason they made it a cage match, so that those people could not rush the ring. Because, the Memphis fans and Jerry Lawler, even in 1987, it was still real to them, damn it.
I forgot.
Hillbillies believe, man. Hillbillies believe.
I forgot which announcer it was, but I think it might have been Joey Styles on an episode of ECW, a later episode. They had a hair versus hair match, and like a month before, it was Triple H versus Kevin Nash in the WWF for a hair versus hair match. And Styles said on the mic, a hair versus hair match means that you get your head shaved bald, not that you get a fun new hairdo. That's what was great about this match. Lawler didn't get to have like a shaved head and look cool like he just got out of the army. He actually got his head shaved.
Yes.
They actually delivered on their promise, which is always great, rather than it just be, hey, we're going to give you a fade in the back and a little shape up in the front. Don't worry about it. You're going to look cool tomorrow when you walk out in front of the fans.
Well, I got to tell you, guys, overall, I thought this was great. I mean, I've seen this match quite a few times, but watching it to analyze it for the show was really good. And I give this match 4 out of 5 stars.
Same. I give it 4 as well.
I agree. I
It
agree.
delivered on all cylinders. It was what it was supposed to be. And like you guys, I saw them. This is the first time I saw the match, and I seen it was 30 minutes long on YouTube. I'm like, okay, good. I'll watch it. And then the last 10 minutes, like you said, Nate, were them kicking Lawler's ass and just trying to shave his head. So I'm like, oh, okay. So the match was really only like 15 minutes long, but
And if
they
I
actually
believe, like,
delivered 30 minutes.
and I believe folklore is that they did the ball shot thing on the pole because Lawler was going to go get snipped.
Oh,
And they even used like Lawler had him go through and like film his vasectomy and use it as like
They used it. You
like
used it as
surgery
video.
coverage.
Wow.
They ruptured his testicle and all this shit. Yeah. So this thing, there was a lot to this. Do we have any more to review on it?
No, we do not.
Okay. Well, if you guys don't mind, I'll go ahead and read what Ian said since it was his
Sure.
match.
Go right ahead.
Break.
Thank you, Mr.
Ian.
Cotton, for giving us a good match to watch, brother.
All right. This is from Ian. I'm going to share my thoughts on the Lawler/Idol match with you here because I'm still in Facebook jail. This is my absolute favorite cage match. The build-up is tremendous, and even though I hate Paulie in every facet, he was excellent here. Idol was so good in this match, it might be the best thing he ever did. Tommy Rich was great as well. The finish of this match was masterfully done. Lawler bleeding and pretty much unconscious in the chair while the heels play it up before shaving his head. Then the heat from the crowd with them surrounding the cage, maybe the last real heat in wrestling where someone's life was actually in danger. And then he says, like, if you've never seen this match or this entire angle, this video is it. Which I know what video he's talking about on Facebook. There's this deal that somebody has like an hour and a half of like all the shit that led up to this match. But that's Ian's take on the match, and we appreciate him for one being a loyal listener. He's been one of our first ones.
What was his name again?
Ian Totten.
Ian Totten.
I thought you said Ian Rotten. Not Ian Gotten. But...
No,
not
that.
Axel's brother. Not Axel's brother.
He can't spell and write. Put
Ian
a
Rotten
sentence together.
Ian Rotten wouldn't know a good match if it broke out in front of him.
Although Nate and Aaron are about to become very close to Ian Rotten because they're getting to that point in
Well,
ECW.
I just said on Reliving the Extreme this week, Ian Rotten looks like what it would look like if a pile of dirty laundry was a human. So
good call.
Yeah. But thank you, Ian, not Rotten, Totten for suggesting this match, and check out Ian the Deathcast. Check out his podcast as well, looking into the macabre and things like that. It's a very cool show, and he does have a Facebook group for that as well. So join up there.
Does he need the admin?
Archie is the Swiss Army admin. Yes, he is.
Only an admin in 3. 3 groups. I don't know where this folklore came around that I'm an admin in 300 groups.
Actually, Archie, I'm thinking about starting an OnlyFans. Will you be my admin for that?
Can I get naked?
I mean, if you want to.
All right, we're going to take a break while these two oil each other up or whatever's going on here. We'll take a break when we come back.
The only fan I want to see of you is behind you, buddy. That's the only one. I'm just saying.
When we return, we will be discussing the year of 1992 in professional wrestling, going through the Pro Wrestling Torch year-end awards from 92. We'll be right back after this with more of the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
Woo!